Chris, can you tell us one thing coming up in this week's podcast?
Yes, the second half of an interview with Space Precinct Stunt Coordinator Glenn Marks.
Tell us another thing, Jamie.
Oh, a special video revisit to SpaceCon 2024.
And I'll be reading out some emails from our wonderful Podsterons.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James and Chris Dale.
Morrow gave a brisk smile and leaned forward over his console. Computer has calculated our new trajectory, Commander. Put it up on the screen, Paul, said Koenig. Let's see what's next.
Oh!
And that's the end of the Armageddon engine by James Swallow. Amazing.
Wow.
Isn't that good?
That was
Did you enjoy
amazing.
it?
Yeah.
What was your favourite bit about it? The last 4 sentences.
No, just your entire performance of the whole thing.
Yes, I think it's the wonderful way he's captured the atmosphere of the whole show.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right.
Beautiful job from Jim Swallow there.
I'm sorry, I've just noticed that we're recording the next podcast.
Oh!
Sorry.
Well, since you last joined us, Podsterons, I've been reading through the Armageddon engine I've just finished.
And we've been listening to him read it.
Yeah.
You're captivated.
I would say Richard's performance was almost as good as Mark Elstob's in the audiobook. Almost.
Speaking of marks out of 5?
What, for my performance or the book?
Yes.
4 points.
16 or whatever it was we came up with.
Yeah,
last
we
week.
16 out of
Out of
15.
12.
Brilliant. Well done. Anyway, this is the Gerry Anderson podcast.
Oh, yes.
Pod 329.
That's right.
As
Wow.
calculated last week by
Indeed.
adding 1 to the
Yes.
last week's
Yes.
number.
All Gerry Anderson life is here.
Yes, and a random episode.
Of course, the randomiser.
Oh, that too. There's so much stuff. It's here every week.
Yes, I hope we can top Lavender Castle, but I'm not sure we can because I really enjoyed it last
Give
week.
it a go, yes.
Yeah, best score to date.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Now, I'm itching to hear all about the Space 1999 convention in London.
Are you?
So shall we head on over to the Gerry Anderson News?
Gerry Anderson News ahoy. You know what mini albums are, don't you?
Are they like albums, but kind of mini versions of albums?
Yes, essentially they are the precursor to audio dramas of the present day. But
yes.
back in the 60s, Century 21 did a lot of mini albums, being short 21-minute stories, often featuring the full cast or some of the cast of shows like Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, and of course Stingray.
Of course, Stingray.
There were 3 Stingray mini albums.
Were there?
Yes.
Right.
One of them invited you to be Troy Tempest, or phones, I think.
Both,
You could
yeah.
read along with a little script that came in the package.
I like
Lovely.
it.
Anyway, for Stingray's 60th anniversary,
Yeah.
we are re-releasing said mini albums on bloomin' vinyl. And they're available now.
Will they be on coloured vinyl?
Nope, we've gone to recreate them as closely as possible to the 60s releases.
Yeah, great.
So you can be Troy Tempest for 21 minutes.
Yes. Or you can take a trip to Marineville for 21 minutes.
yes.
Or you can listen to Marina Speaks
Yes.
for 21 minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
because
yes.
she speaks in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaks. Why are you saying it like that?
Because you listen to Marina Speak. That's the correct grammatical way to say it.
But he said
I
the
couldn't say
title.
listen to Marina Speaks because then that would be wrong.
Yes, he was emphasising the title rather than the correct
sent us down
grammar.
a grammatical rabbit hole,
That's
for which
fine,
I apologise.
that's fine.
Anyway, it's available to order now. They're in stock. There's no pre-order. It's just grab them. Limited to 500 copies worldwide.
Right, quick.
Oh,
It's a lovely thing. And also you can watch online, I think now or very soon, Mark Silk performing as Troy Tempest.
Brilliant.
In his man cave / studio.
Excellent.
Just having a great time. So enjoy that.
Nice. Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
And coming up, 30th of September.
Oh, yeah. Thunderbirds Day.
All right, you beat me to it. It's like
Yeah,
you've got
it is,
used
isn't
to it
it?
after all these years.
Yeah.
So how will you be celebrating? There's going to be a special Thunderbirds Day T-shirt. And I believe the first item in our range of Thunderbirds 60th anniversary goodies comes up for pre-order, being the Thunderbirds 2025 calendar.
Nice. Very good.
So there you go. Those are all coming up. There'll probably be some other things going on for
Yeah.
Thunderbirds Day, but
Yeah.
we'd love to know from you, Podsterons, what are you doing to celebrate on the 30th? As we celebrate the 59th anniversary of Thunderbirds ahead of next year's 60th.
60th. Big plans for the 60th?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, can't tell you
And of
about
course,
those.
it's Captain Scarlet and Joe 90's anniversary around the same time, isn't it? End of the month?
Yeah, but
29th.
not insignificant
28th,
ones, and
27th.
especially Joe. I mean,
Oh,
Joe's
forget
the
it
most
then.
insignificant one of all, isn't it?
Gosh.
Yeah.
I think you're the irksome one.
Yeah.
Last week someone mentioned that Joe 90 was rather irksome.
Yes.
I think you're quite irksome.
I'm the big rat. Yeah, I know. Anyway, so a few weeks ago we were at Space 1999 Con in London, celebrating the 50th anniversary of production, the 50th anniversary year, surrounded by guests from the show and amazing Space 1999 fans.
Sorry, can I just say I got to sit in an Eagle cockpit?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Do we have a photo of that we can put up? There
Look at
we
that.
are.
It suits me, doesn't it?
You look very comfy there.
I was
I'm
very
not sure about the shoes. Shoes don't quite fit with the costume.
Fair
but,
enough. Can't actually
everything
see the
else.
shoes in that picture, but thanks.
I saw them though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wow. But you made a video, didn't you?
Yes. Oh, yes. Should we show that now?
Yes.
Here's a brief film of our time at Heathrow. Let's have a look.
Amazing.
What am I doing hanging outside a hotel just outside Heathrow? Well, I'm here for a rather special occasion. To mark the 50th year next year of Space 1999, there's a special convention happening just inside these walls. London 1999. Fancy a look inside? To begin with, as you enter these magnificent doors, well, you come across this beautiful pair of angels guarding the entrance. You are?
Nancy from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Imagine. And?
Ruth von Waghäusel, Germany.
Wunderbar. Now tell me, what on earth brought you all this way this weekend?
Oh my word. Well, last year they had a conference or a convention in Calgary, my hometown. I never thought in a million years I'd ever get to one. And when I saw it posted that they were going to be in Calgary, I nearly flipped. I had so much fun that I said, okay, I'm going to London. So here I am.
Here you are. And how's the weekend been?
It was a nice one. It was a get-together of friends already. And I was looking forward to this convention for the whole year.
Yeah.
Because when Warren announced he would arrange a convention, yes, I have to be there.
Amazing, great.
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if you can do me a favour and let me in for free? This is where it all happens. The main mission, if you will, for London 1999. Here you have displays of models, exhibits of costumes, and of course some very special guests from the show, all lined up for their signings. And just over here, courtesy of Daryl Simmons, and currently manned, an Eagle cockpit replica. One of the great things about these conventions, of course, is meeting people with a wide range of interests, particularly about Space 1999. And now I'm joined by, introduce yourself.
I'm Mark Anthony Craig, and in 1977 I entered the look-in competition to design a moon city, and I won it. And so I got to spend the day with Gerry Anderson. I paid for by look-in. Gerry met myself and my dad at Blackpool Railway Station. We were taken to the management suite of the Blackpool Tower Company and had lunch in the management suite. My father and Gerry had both done their national service in the RAF. My father was still in the RAF at that time. So they talked for an hour about the good old days in national service. And because my father knew all about aircraft and he used to mend them once they'd crashed and whatever, work out why they'd crashed, etc. for the RAF. He was then talking to Gerry for ages about how or not the Thunderbirds craft would actually be able to fly. And all I wanted to do was to ask Gerry, what would have been in the year 3 of Space 1999 had it happened?
Yes.
One of the things he told me was he said that lots of fans have been asking him, they always seem to have an endless supply of Eagles. And so he said, where did all the extra Eagles come from? And he said, well, had they made a third season, he wanted to show they had storage bunkers next to the hangars. And so for maintenance purposes, they needed spare parts.
Yeah.
They could take the spare parts and repair them, or if they needed to, they could build an entire Eagle from scratch from spare parts. So there's the answer to that question.
Incredible. We have a definitive answer at last.
One of the things that I do remember is that Gerry asked me about my design, and some of the buildings looked like they were quite large, and he said to me, how do you think they would build those on the moon? And I said, in my mind, they would actually construct them in orbit of Earth because it was a bit cheaper to ferry the various materials and parts. So they would assemble them in orbit of Earth, and then they would be towed by space barges to the moon and very gently dropped onto pre-prepared bases. And he said, that's a really good idea. But then do you remember the very first episode of Terrorhawks?
Right.
When Zelda's fleet arrives on Mars,
Yes, of course.
and they lower into position, lock themselves together, and they're that complex on Mars. And
amazing.
when I saw Terrorhawks for the first time, I thought to myself, did Gerry pinch my idea? Did he remember
Amazing,
that?
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, is it possible for you to distill your... What is it about Space 1999 in particular that grabbed you as a youngster then, do you think?
For me, what it's always been is, I mean, it was a wow experience then, and I think for people who still come across the series today, that is still a wow experience. But I think the reason behind its longevity is it wasn't just a television show, it was a piece of visual art. And everything you see on that screen was there for a purpose because it had been so carefully thought about, bought or made and positioned on that screen so that every little detail is something that's special. Because most TV dramas today, like Midsummer Murders, you've got two characters walking through a building or walking through a village, and you don't give much thought to what else is on screen other than what the acting is going on.
Yeah.
But Space 1999 is more than that. It's visual art that you see on your screen, and that's why, to me, it's so special.
Of course. One of the pleasures about coming to a convention like this is seeing the original props from the series, and well, I'm sure you'll all recognise the robot Zargot from season 2 of Space 1999. Wasn't it fun?
Yes.
Beautiful. Well
And
done.
wasn't everyone so nice
lovely.
and friendly and helpful?
It was a very nice, relaxed atmosphere. Got plenty of time to chat to everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
So many guests. Yeah.
So many guests, and a very nice tower burger.
Or very nice tower burger indeed.
What's
yes.
a tower burger?
It was the burger that they serve at the restaurant at the Renaissance Hotel Heathrow.
I see. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Some of us had it with cheese, some of us had it without cheese.
Right.
Some
Sans
of us had
cheese.
it with mayo, some of us had it with
Podsterons, do email us and tell us how you eat your burgers.
Oh yes. Do you
I'd love
like
to know.
onion rings? Chris Thompson doesn't.
Oh, I do.
I do.
Not in the burger.
No, even
that's
outside
fine.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he ordered it without. I would have happily eaten
he's
his onion
weird,
rings.
isn't he?
But there we go.
Because I only got one, you got two. I didn't think that
But
was
then on the
right.
second day, I only got one. Anyway, shall we move on from this? That's the end, thank goodness, of this week's Gerry Anderson Burger News.
Onion ring news, onion ring news.
Onion ring news.
Onion
We're really
ring
putting
news.
Chris under pressure now, aren't we?
Onion ring news, I really like that. Yes.
Great. Now, you can see, we set up last week this lovely diorama at the front of the table here,
It's a beauty.
Oh, yeah.
where you can see the cyborg from Time to Kill having killed both me as Officer Orin and Jerome Willis there as
Who'd
Captain
taken a
Bodley.
great fall from the mezzanine.
That's right. I remember that day. Were you there?
I was there, I remember it because they had all the boxes piled up
Yeah.
for the first bit for the stunt.
Wow.
right?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
a big stunt.
I wasn't there.
No, obviously.
But I saw it on TV.
Yes, and lots of people all came in from the offices.
Yeah,
to
it was
watch.
very
It
exciting.
was a moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember the big kind of countdown
That's
and then the tumble over and
Yeah.
oh, it was very dramatic.
Well, let's hear if our wonderful guest, Glenn Marks, has any memories of that day
Yeah,
in the
'cause that-
second part of his
that was
interview.
him, wasn't it?
It was him.
Amazing.
Yeah. Over to you, Glenn. Last week we spoke about Time to Kill and the cyborg here, deemed by many to be a classic episode and a classic character. And you mentioned that you have your own little figure as well. I also asked you a question about what were actors generally receptive to you as a stunt coordinator, and you gave a very nice diplomatic answer. But there was an episode of Space Precinct, I think it was called Illegal, where there was a bit of abseiling to be done from a short scaffolding tower as Orin and Romek broke into a warehouse and slid down some ropes. And I was asked if I was happy to do the stunt. And I said, yeah, I think I'm happy to do this stunt. until I got to the top of the tower. And I've got that clip for you now because you stood in and for a very brief moment, and I've slowed it down again at the end of the clip, so keep your eye out for that. You were Officer Orin.
I was Officer
Not for the first
Orin.
or last time, but let's have a look at this clip here.
Okay, let's do it. 1, 2,
and 3.
So, just on the right-hand side of the screen, I'll show you it again.
Okay, this whole area is hot. We'll leave it for forensics.
Here we go. On the right there. Because I chickened out.
There's no chickening out. When you're doing it in those heads and you're under pressure and it's hot and some things that seem simple if you've done them a lot can then become very difficult.
Yeah.
If you've done a lot of abseiling and you're used to doing cliffs and other things, coming in the studio and doing it in a head and all that costume, it's fine, you get through it.
Yeah.
It's like driving on a film set. And I won't mention names, but I have to tell you this one story because it'll put just abseiling into perspective.
Yeah.
Most of us out there have a driving license and you can drive. And at times things might happen on the road and usually your reflexes are pretty good to avoid cars or pedestrians, or hopefully you don't have to, or bad road conditions. When I was doing one particular show, the production manager on it was desperate for me to use his neighbour's son, who had just about finished his training to become a stuntman. He said it's really simple. If he drives the getaway car, all he's got to do is pull up slowly at the start, they do the raid, then when everybody's finished all their machine gunning and raiding, they get back in the car, they'll say go, he just reverses back, turns back 180 degrees, drives off down the road he came from. So we don't need any great speed, it's private land. I said, please don't. It won't go well. It's such a big scene. We're burning all these trucks. We only have so much burn time. I can only do this once. And sometimes just being there gets the better of people. I just want to have, we have the money, I just want to have an experienced stuntman who I know I can not a mate, no offence, but not a mate's kid.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be this guy. So he overruled me. Yeah, the insurance said it's fine. They said, no, I've written the risk assessment. I went, all right, well, I'm writing my risk assessment and it's down to you guys, okay? If it doesn't go well, on your head, because we cannot repeat this. We cannot get in another 5 trucks and burn them, and it's a night shoot, and everyone's there till 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever. Anyway, come to do the raid at the end of the night. Car comes up the road, Mercedes stops, all the baddies pile out, and we had about 6 cameras, and we turned on the thing, and we got them to run in, then they start burning it, and then nicking whatever they're supposed to steal, and loading up another truck with all these guns, and in the end, all the other trucks disappear, and you're left with this one car, and perfect, the trucks are still burning, and they jump in the car, and you can hear the guys going, go, go, go. The car just sits there. And the director looks at me, and they say, go, go, go. You can see the driver just still looking out the front over the windscreen. So I had, because it was cold, I had my black coat on and black over trousers, and I just jogged down. I said, keep the cameras rolling.
Yeah.
We don't have much burning time.
Yeah.
And I opened the driver's door. I said, come with me, young man. And there was nowhere to hide him.
Right.
So I couldn't put him to the trucks because they were on fire. It was too dangerous. So I just opened up the back door, and I literally launched him on top of the stunt guys. I went to stay down and hide. And I got there. I said, right, put it in reverse. We squeal the car back. We turn around, we drive. When we got around the corner and we're out of shot, he went, oh, I'm so sorry. Everyone's shouting go, and I'm thinking, why are they all looking at me? And I was looking at all the trucks burning, and all the guys doing all, and everybody dying. He goes, it was brilliant. And now I'm thinking, oh, my job was to reverse the car and get us out of there, but it was so great what was going on. I forgot what I was supposed to do.
Yes, that's amazing.
So it doesn't matter, we've got it, but you know.
But I mean, that shows how sort of calm and collected you have to be as a stunt performer. With all this stuff going on around you, you can't afford to freeze or just stop and enjoy the spectacle.
Coordination. No, I know, I plan it. I know what each of my chaps, actors, everything's going through. If something doesn't go right as a coordinator, you have to be brave. It's not a question of being brave. You just have to say, no, cut, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And fortunately, when I've needed to, I've done it, which isn't very often.
Yeah.
I had one the other day, and I had the stunt people play it all out, and they would always plan for the actors to do this scene. And the director just looked at me and he went, cut. I said, should we go again? He said, yes. I said, It was almost exciting. He said, that'd be too easy. It was a load of complete mad. And I won't say the word. I said,
Almost.
yeah. I said, guys, what happened? We all forgot. We watched your guys and they made it look really easy. It's not, is it? I said, right, let's rehearse it again. Just do what we rehearsed and it's fine. But no, as a coordinator, you have to look after your performers, your actors.
Yeah.
And you have to set things up so that you're not taking too many risks.
Yeah.
Because longevity over career, the odds are against you. Something is going to go wrong at some point.
Right.
And I've had it in car chases. One of the stunt guys, the brakes went on a car. I mean, what are the chances of that? Unfortunately, he was that experienced. Rather than smashing into everything, he turned right and went through a fence into a farmer's field and stopped when you could get the handbrake on and whatever. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster.
Wow.
So everyone thinks like that they can drive. Everyone thinks, oh, abseiling, I've done a course, it's easy. When you're on a film set and they say action, it's a whole nother story.
Yes.
And that was just a little snippet of a guy driving a car.
Yes.
Where it just didn't happen.
Yes.
And I sort of look back and like, he's a big coordinator now.
That's
I wouldn't
right.
mention his name.
Right.
But I thought, right, that was your first ever job. And boy, did you muck it up because you didn't do it.
Maybe an important lesson to learn early in your career, I would think.
Yeah.
That's right. Interesting. But not only did you play, I think there's also another episode where you were in Orion's Soft. We used to have sort of stunt masks for those moments where you had to be pulled into kind of a big skip, if you remember, by a big kind of ape creature. Officer Orion was investigating Predator and Prey.
I'll have to watch it again to remember.
Yeah.
I did so many stunts on that series.
You
That
did.
one I don't remember.
And you reminded me earlier as well that you also played Officer Castle, Simone Bendix, in a scene.
We shot this in 1995. We only had a few stunt women on the stunt register. So there's nothing to take away from them. It was just I'd set this stunt up and planned it. It was one of my meetings with our lovely art director. I went in. And he said that, and I don't remember who directed that episode, but
I think this was
it wasn't
Power.
John.
So was that Sydney
God, I'll
Hayes?
put you on
or-
the spot.
Yeah.
Could have been one of Sydney's, but he said the director wants a shot from above, and you have to listen to what directors want and give them what they want.
Yeah.
He wants to see the back of Simone jumping out. I think it was out of a helicopter or a spaceship.
I think it was out of the police cruiser. That's
Police
right.
cruiser,
Yeah.
that's right. And going through the glass skylight and then landing on the floor. So by the time if you look up at your ceiling at home and imagine that the ceiling is bigger, then you've got a skylight, so you can add another 4 foot. Then you've got to add at least another 6 foot above it. Now, you can't jump 18 feet onto ground because you just break your ankles.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put a stunt performer in a position where they can do that. You can't even put crash mats down because from 20 feet, you're still going to break your ankles.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, could we build the set 12 foot off the ground? And he went, what? Tell me why. Before I talk about the cost and anything else, why. I said, well, if you can make me a false floor, say 8 by 8 foot or 10 by 10, we'll then put a piece of polystyrene, huge sheets of polystyrene. If you can get somebody nice in the art department to paint the big squares black on it, and white maybe, you need that. So you've got the big black and white squares across the floor. When you're looking from above, you won't know that we're 12 foot off the ground, and I can put boxes and crash mats underneath. So the shot will go from Simone looking around, then cut to stunt person, jumping out. You could do it all the way, but literally a frame or two before you hit the floor, you cut, and then you'll cut inside, and then she can just do a jump and pretend she's landed, or jump off some boxes, camera boxes, and land on the ground. And he thought this was a great idea. I did it before once, but I didn't want to just because I don't know, I was quite young, whatever. I guess I wanted to put my money where my mouth was. I knew that the cost of making the balsa wood and fake glass skylight was huge, and I knew we only had one go at this.
Right.
And because I'd lived with it so long, I went, well, look, I'll chat with Simone, I'll chat with makeup. It's not like today, because we used to double girls all the time, because there just weren't that many girls around.
Yeah.
And because I'd set this stunt up, I knew that the position in the air, I just lived with it for so many weeks, I knew that I'd get it right. So when I've got a big stunt coming up, I'll rehearse, I'll do whatever, I'll live with it. And for me, when I turn up on the set, the job's already done. And I know from the crew watching, oh my God, that was brilliant, you did it, whatever. But for me, it's like, no, I did this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, interesting.
because in my head I'd played it over 1,000 times, and I wanted to make sure it went right. So that's why I double. It's not particularly I like wearing women's clothing, and that it was the same costume as the guys were wearing. But I had in my head exactly how I wanted that stunt. And I think the cost of it, I think it was about 18,500 just for the scaffolders to come in and build it higher.
Right.
Then by the time they built Skylight, not all down to me because it was written, I think it was well over 30 or something thousand. Now back in 95, you could buy a nice flat for that, or a house.
Yes.
So you took huge, that's what I'm saying before, whatever you plan has consequences. And you can end up spending vast sums of money, so you have to be very careful what you plan for.
Yeah, incredible. Now, we have lots of viewers and listeners who, when they heard that you were coming on the show, sent in their questions.
Let's see what exciting questions.
Exactly. Dive in there.
We take one at random.
Take as many as you can. Take a good handful, Glenn, and then we'll get through a few of them. That's it. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Get through as many of those as you fancy and see what they have to say.
Well, we'll do this one that's come out on top.
Yeah.
This is from John Reader. Hi Glenn, did you enjoy your time on Space Precinct? Would you have done another series if asked? Thanks. So John, to answer that question, Gerry and Mary Anderson came on the set. I think it was on our last day of filming the first series, and they invited everybody, said you've all got 6 weeks off. In that 6 weeks, just contact us. If you're not going to come back, well, it'd be nice to hear if you do want to, but if you're definitely not coming back, so I'd love to have you all back. So at a drop of a hat, I would have done it again. And I think they were talking about coming back for 2 years, and there wasn't even a question about it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there I am on a show, just great cast, brilliant crew.
Yeah.
And it comes from the top down. When you're on shows, the atmosphere, and we've been there at times when it's just brilliant, like Space Precinct. Over 30, whatever it is, 7 years I've been doing this, there's some shows where you go, I'll quite happily leave tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
They're few and far between, but it does happen.
Yeah.
But on that one, everybody was brilliant. Everybody watched out for everybody, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
And so did I enjoy my time on it? I loved it. If it came back tomorrow, I would jump at doing it again.
Amazing.
Well, so thank you for that one, John.
It could still happen.
This is from Robert Monk. Hello, Glenn. What's been your most dangerous stunt to perform? Also, what was the most fun to do? I mean, there's a few things immediately come to mind as the most fun to do. On one film, I was all over Eastern Europe, and I had to smash up 3 Lamborghini Murcielagos. They're 640 brake horsepower, about £250,000 each, yellow ones, on a film called Brothers Bloom, with Adrian Brody, Rachel Weisz, Mark Ruffalo, Robbie Coltrane. I loved working on that film. Rian Johnson was the director, who's just done the last however many Star Wars and got more to do. Ryan was great. He used to listen to his iPod all the time and had a red nose on, and I'd bet him. I'd make bets with him that stunts would work, and he'd bet they wouldn't, and I'd walk off. And the way that the betting worked, he went, "But Glenn, you're losing all your money anyway, man." So I'd say, right, because you get all this funny money when you're in Transylvania. Really, the money is
Monopoly money, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'd say, right, I'm going to bet all this per diems because they give us money for an evening meal.
Yeah.
So you've got money from Czechoslovakia and money from Hungary, wherever we've been. And I said, I'm putting it all in the pot. This will go behind the bar, and all the crew and cast, you can drink my money, right? I don't drink alcohol. That's not my bag, but you guys can drink it. So if this stunt works... Right, he said, what's the downside for the crew? I said, right, all crew, you're putting money in the pot, so we'll make sure you know how much you've got. If the stunt doesn't work, I'll match all the crew's money. That goes behind the bar. But if I do the stunt, right, all the money that the crew put in and cast, that goes behind the bar, and it's only cost me my... He said, yeah, but you're losing your per diem, man. I said, I don't mind. It doesn't matter. I'll buy you all a drink. There you go. It's fine. So we'd often have these bets. And we'd go, no, that's not. And then I'd do it, and you go, oh, my God, we all lost our money again. But, yeah, I never lost my money. Well, I never had to replace the crew's money.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, when you're given the £750,000 Lamborghinis to smash up, and I said to Ryan, I said, I told you at the beginning, Ryan, just give me one of these Lambos. Let me take it to my car guys, right? He said, why? I said, the front spoiler is 26,500. The first one I had to take into a crane, right? For 50 grand, I can get you dozens of car parts, all made out of fiberglass, because the audience watching doesn't know it's not carbon fiber.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to have to wait. We had 7 guys from Lamborghini Body Shop repairing the cars just after I'd smashed them up. So this is just what I don't understand about the film business. And I'm still a new boy after 37 years. So my guys would then cast the parts, would strip the car down, would do 6 or 8 bolts on each bit, and you just put it back in, and then I've got a car to drive again.
Yeah.
But these guys would take a day or two to fix the car.
Yeah.
So by one morning, I'd smashed all 3. I pranged all 3 of his lamps. I think I had to take... I'd take one off a cliff, I'd take one through a stone wall and the other one into the crane, and I think I smashed another one up somewhere else I was supposed to. And it was about 10:30 in the morning, and I'd stuffed all 3 of them well and proper. And Ryan said, "Where you going, mate?" I went, "Well, I've killed all 3 of your Lambos, right? The first one, if we're lucky, the guys will have it ready by midnight. So I'm going to go back to our lovely 5-star hotel. I'm going to go swim in a sauna and whatever.
Yeah.
I'll come back. I'll come back just to satisfy at tea time, because the caterers do fantastic food on this. So I'll stuff my little gullet.
Yeah.
If by chance they've got one ready, I'll smash that up again, and hopefully they'll have it ready again the first morning. Well, of course, I turn up for tea. "Hi everyone, where are my Lambos?" I went, "Oh no, they're still about." "Told you, should have let me have them. I'd have had them all. You'd have got your shots, all been cheaper. Wouldn't have cost you this fortune." But that's what I don't get about. Why would you then go and spend £750,000 when for 50 grand the thing would have worked more efficiently?
Yeah.
And I think at the end they understood. They're like, "Oh no, we can't spend 50,000." Yeah, but you've spent 750,000 and you haven't got the cars back on set.
Crazy.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
And apparently it was because that came out of this budget, and then the 50 would have had to come out of a different budget. I'm like, yeah, but the money's overall. You'd have saved 700 grand doing it, Mike.
Yeah. But I think very often it's money that has to be spent, doesn't it, somehow? They have a budget and somehow they have to spend
because
that.
It was different departments, they couldn't swap it. I was like, I don't know. Somebody can write in and tell us why you'd spend an extra 700,000 to achieve the same thing. It's just my brain. I like to work efficiently, and for me that wasn't working efficiently.
No,
but
right.
yeah, I love smashing up Lamborghinis. That was brilliant. Right. Jerry Morris, he says, "Glenn, has stunt work changed over the years? I'm thinking in terms of safety and what directors expect from you." Good question. The directors don't, unless they've been writing it. The writers and producers expect a lot, and we have to deliver whatever they write. So we have to cover a broad spectrum. In terms of safety, it's down to us. But when I started, there was no such thing as health and safety. No health and safety officers. There were no risk assessments. There was nothing like it is today. Now there's so many levels to go through, more than there used to be. So the answer to is, yes, it's changed. TV has changed enormously. The amount of car chases we used to do through the middle of London were just TV, and now it's just too expensive. They don't want us driving cars fast through London. They don't want to shut the roads down. There used to be so many derelict squares where the unit base. We take around with us this big merry circus. Sometimes you'll see crews filming on the street and a camera. That is 1% of what's going on. You've got people working from the facilities guy who have to be set up from 5 in the morning and might finish at midnight. You've got the guys and girls in the production offices who are working so many hours, and I doubt very much they're all on overtime. They do it because they're dedicated to the job, and they're the ones, and the ADs who look after us. You've got this huge team behind us, and that's nothing to do with the people involved in post-production and the music, which is enormous as well. So we carry this, I call it the merry circus, this huge team, and you have to bring the costume trucks and the wardrobe trucks and the production offices and all the facilities with you to be able to service what it is we're filming. So you might only see a little bit, but behind it, the amount of people and money is spent, I'm always in awe of it. And on one big show at Pinewood, and it was a massive thing, the producer got us all together in the morning and said, "I'm bringing in a friend of mine, and he's working for free, and works for one of the biggest consultancy firms. And he's just going to go around and ask you," he signed an NDA, but he's going to ask you what you all do, and he'll be with you for a bit. And if you could just accommodate him, I'd appreciate it. At the end of the day, I think we were there for 2 days. At the end of the second day, all the crew together, and this chap, forgive me, I don't remember his name, he got up, and he said, "Right, my job was to come in and see how all the different departments work. And could I, as I do when I go into factories, make this more efficient?" He said, "Apart from the armed forces, because I don't think I've found anything that works so efficiently."
Right.
He said, "I would not change a single thing." He said, "The hours that you guys put in and the talent across all the different departments, and I understand now why they can't cross, why you can't have makeup doing the costume job, costume doing the makeup job, why the sound guy can't do the focus pulling and keep going." He said, It is streamlined, it's efficient, don't change a thing.
Yeah,
it
amazing.
works so well.
Yeah, because these are processes that have been in place for decades now.
Decades. Yeah,
That's
my,
right.
my attitude is if it ain't broke, don't fix
Absolutely
it. Don't
right.
try and reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Swim with the tide, because it's not just what you want. You've got to take this whole merry circus with you on this journey.
Yeah.
And you've got to get from the beginning to the end. The only difference is in my job, I can't be hurting people.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
possible.
you're out the door.
That's right. Yeah, another question.
Another one. Rebecca Barden, what do your family think of your job as a stuntman? Would you be happy if your own children wanted to follow in your footsteps? My family at the beginning thought I was all mad.
Right.
My mum used to ring up and say, "Are you working for the BBC?" And even if I wasn't, I said, "Yes, mum, why?" She goes, "Oh, well, that's all right. If it's the BBC, it must be safe because it's the BBC, because she's of that generation."
Yeah.
They've got used to it. I think, obviously, as a family, they're happier that I'm mainly coordinating now, not doing stunts,
Yeah.
but they still think it's mad. My own kids, I've said to them, I want you to get out of bed in the morning and do a job that you love. So don't do what I do what you want to do. I think it's changed a lot. I'm blessed. I've got twin boys that are 10. I'll have retired by the time they've finished uni. So it's not, do I want them to go in the business? I won't be around to help them. And I hope that they'll find a vocation, and I won't call it a job, but a vocation that really excites them and something they want to do.
Yeah.
I'd never push any. Look, I do something completely off the Richter scale of weirdness, I guess. Stuntman, stunts, and that is not something that you think of at school and want to go and do. You can go and do it if you know nobody in the business, like I did, and you can make a career. And I've had a fantastic career, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But no, I'd never impose what I do on anybody, let alone my own kids.
Yeah.
And anyway, at the moment, Rafi wants to be a cowboy, and Sebastian, I think he wants to be a train driver.
But the great thing about your job is that you get to be all those things and more, don't you? That's what I feel as an actor.
Yeah, so I'm sure in England there's a big call for cowboys. So if he still wants to be a cowboy in a couple of years'
Great,
time,
I love
great.
that.
If it changes,
Yeah.
And if Sebastian still wants to be
Brilliant.
a train driver, I'll go with that.
Absolutely.
That's great. Should we find another one?
Yes, let's have a couple
Let's
more.
find another one.
That's fantastic.
Richard Godborn. Hi, Glenn. What was the best film or TV show you worked with for stunts on? I think I kind of answered that really in the shows we've done.
Yeah.
But there are other shows that you guys have heard of that I'm going to take it from a different tack rather than say that had its challenges. So you got films or TV shows like Baby Reindeer I did that was out recently.
Yeah.
And you've got things like Theory of Everything, which you can put an impression on.
Yeah.
And then you've got Star Wars movies, but we're not allowed to say we ever worked on them. But when I took Benjamin to say, he said, "But I saw your face, Dad." I went, "Yeah, hypothetically."
Okay.
This other show I'm doing at the moment, which I'm not allowed to tell you the name of,
Yeah.
which is really weird, but we've signed NDAs.
Yeah.
And we're not, because they're so frightened we'll give the story away. We won't do that.
Yeah.
I don't mind if the budget's $100 million or if they've only got £1 million. Is it fun? Is it going to be fun to work on? Are the people nice? Can I do the stunts they want for a start? Because sometimes they write things that are just not possible for the time and the money they've got. So
Yeah.
can I design something that will work for them? And if I can do all of that, then I'm going to enjoy the show. So it's very rare you're on a show for a year like we were with Space Precinct. Having said that, when I finished it, Clive Reed, who was one of the first, who's sadly no longer with us, went on to production manage Soldier Soldier.
Yes.
And I went on to Soldier Soldier for 10 months.
Yeah.
And I have to say, looking back on the memories, and I'll have to explain why it was so much fun. I turn up on set the first day. We've got 6 Challenger tanks. We've got another 32 armour personnel and other track vehicles, 432s. And we've got virtually a battalion of Gurkhas and others. And they're going, "All right, Glenn, what we want is this." I'm like, "Oh, man,
Wow.
I'm playing tanks here."
Yeah.
So whatever else you throw at me, I don't think it'd be that much fun because I can't see today the restrictions, everything else you've got with health and safety and this and that. When are you going to let rip in a Challenger tank for 40 minutes with an officer screaming at you to go quicker?
Brilliant stories. Wonderful memories. Has it been fun? Does it bring it all back? Does it feel like yesterday, like it does for me at Pinewood L&M stage back in 1994,
watching the
95?
clips brought back a lot.
Yeah.
I don't... when I've done a stunt, I park it to the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then if I need to call that up to help me plan another stunt or something, they're there.
Yeah.
But as I said, I don't watch much TV just because life and kids and work and the travelling. But it's so nice to come back and see it, and it brings back so many memories that we've got. And I don't often talk about stunts. If I'm out and I meet people new, I never say I'm a stuntman.
Right.
Because I just, no.
Well, in that case, we've been privileged today. It's been great to hear your stories. And thanks for joining us, Glenn Marks. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Glenn Marks for joining us over the last couple of weeks.
Thanks, Glenn.
It's so nice, from a personal point of view, to reconnect with people I last met 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Even if they did punch you in the face and then kill you.
Well, he probably deserved it. I mean, we'd do it if we could.
He's used to it.
But it's basically the Richard James reunion podcast that you've turned us into. You just
Sorry.
basically meet up with old mates.
Yes.
Sorry.
And on that note, who have we got next week?
Well, next week we've got someone who I killed in Space Precinct. Natalie Wells, who played Chloe Vincent, I think, in the opening scenes of Predator and Prey.
How creative of you in terms of the guests.
I know. But actually, she asked to come on. She approached us.
She did, you're right.
And then went on to great fame and possibly fortune, I'll ask, on The Bill. Playing a regular part for, I think, over 190 episodes.
Yes.
Gosh.
As well as appearing in programmes like Men Behaving Badly and Cold Feet. And recently, star of her own The Bill podcast and a new podcast series, Letters from Helvetica. So I should ask all
So
about
it's
that.
a big podcast crossover.
It's a podcast crossover.
Okay, exciting.
A possover, if you will. That doesn't work at all, does it?
A pod over?
No.
Cast over.
Quick, let's move on to the Voice of the Podsterons and rescue me from this stupid grammatical rabbit hole. Over to you, Podsterons.
Awkward.
This is the Voice of the Podsterons.
We love it when our Podsterons get in touch. Last week, do you remember we had a bumper crop of emails from people who'd never emailed us before?
Yes.
Now we're back to the same old, I think.
Oh.
No.
Same old.
There might be
the stale old Podsterons is a bit harsh, Richard.
There might be a few there. I'm going to crack open the bag.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with this
bags?
Yeah.
Crack them open?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would you do? Rip it open?
Yeah.
Or just
open
it?
them. Yeah.
Open the bag.
Yeah.
Empty the
This
bag.
is from Guy Knowles, who says, "Hello, James, Richard and Chris."
Oh.
Does anyone ever call you James?
My late grandmother used to call me James when I'd been naughty.
Yes. Well, perhaps you have been
So
naughty.
I feel admonished.
Perhaps Guy Knowles knows something that we don't.
He probably does.
I've been thinking a lot about the Thunderbirds second season and the movie Thunderbirds Are Go, says Guy. I keep wondering, why would Thunderbirds Are Go fail at the box office, and what was the audience's, at the time, attitude of TV shows made into movies? I keep thinking, well, if the movie is the different story to the TV episodes, that would be worth seeing. Also, if the movie was a success, would Thunderbirds Season 2 have more episodes, and would the shows after be created as well? From Guy Knowles. Answer all those questions, please.
But right.
How was it received back in the day, do we know?
Poorly.
Barely any response at all,
barely
really, because
received.
nobody was going to see it. It didn't do the business.
Yeah,
so,
as Guy says, though, you'd think if you're watching a TV show and you hear that there's a movie version at the cinema...
Yeah, but that's a modern point of view, isn't it? Because
In
the
those
contemporary
days-
one is, I can already see that on the TV. Why would I pay to go and see it at the cinema?
Yeah.
If they didn't. There wasn't. You weren't used to that format of it being translated from and being a big epic news story on the big screen.
Yeah.
Well, I can't think of any TV shows at that time that were being turned into movies.
No.
I think there was an Emergency Ward 10 we were talking about that kind of thing.
Avant-garde, really.
Yeah, so it's a bit
do
out
that.
there.
And if the movie had been more of a success, do you think that would have then reflected on the series?
Well, as far as I know, the second series was only ever meant to be 6 episodes, whatever happened. So if the movie had been a smash hit, they probably would have gone for a third series.
Well, or they would have gone for more movies, depending on how big a success it was. They would have gone, actually, this is even more financially viable on the big screen, maybe. But it didn't happen.
No,
Didn't happen.
but we've got Captain Scarlet.
Exactly. And Joe 90. I mean,
Joe
we
90.
wouldn't have had Captain Scarlet and Joe 90 and the Secret Service if Thunderbirds hadn't failed the box
That's
office.
true, that's
so
right.
Thank goodness
Yeah.
for one of those.
Chris, would you like to pick one from the
I
long list of
would
emails?
love to. Hi, Jamie, Richard, and Chris.
Hello.
Hello.
I've finally caught up with the podcasts, as enjoyable as ever. Wow, nice to know we keep the quality at consistent level.
Yeah, that doesn't really tell us much, though, does it?
Yes, this celery is enjoyable as I've ever found celery. Yeah.
You are all doing great work in honouring and expanding appreciating Gerry Anderson's work. When you think about how much joy he brought to us and that you continue to do, I'm sure he will be very proud. I remember in 1992 going to an evening with Gerry Anderson with my dad in Essex. Great evening. Display of models and puppets in the foyer, and then a fascinating talk about his work. I remember him being apologetic about giving electric shocks to the crocodiles.
Gosh.
I love all of the Anderson universe, but my two personal favourites are Fireball XL5 and Space Precinct.
Wow.
So I'm
odd
particularly
pairing.
excited for the new Space Precinct novel. Was wondering if there was any chance of some Fireball novels. Keep up the good work. Simon, Great Yarmouth. And great is in inverted commas for some reason.
No, the Great Yarmouth is
Great
great.
Yarmouth.
That's an interesting pairing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fireball XL5 right at the beginning, and Space Precinct, one of the later.
Yeah. Just loved a bit of space.
Fireball novels?
I have an idea.
Chris, you've already
I've got an
pitched
idea ready
everything.
to go for an XL5 novel.
Yeah, it's as usual. It's a bandwidth thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much we want to do.
Yeah.
And that we don't have clones of Chris, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We should look into that.
Yes. I mean, it's possible. I mean, we could maybe do a Chris Dale AI. You plug in your ideas and then it does it for you, kind of ghost writes for yourself.
Oh dear.
I don't like the sound of that at all. No?
Could be working while you're sleeping.
I could be off
Well, he does
writing
that
the
anyway.
novel and you could have an AI here just...
No, we don't. Oh, you do want that? That's interesting.
There's a nice 50-50 split on that side
Yeah,
of the table,
gosh.
yes.
The Chris Dale fan club versus obviously not. Ouch.
Here we are, Jamie. Here's one from Utah for you.
Ben from Utah. Ben writes, so a few weeks ago, I got an over-the-air antenna HD TV channel, which started airing a whole bunch of classic cartoons from the 90s and earlier. Casper, Betty Boop, Popeye, Looney Tunes. I've watched all of those.
Yes.
None of them Gerry Anderson, very good. Part of their late night lineup is airing about 5 Gerry Anderson shows starting at 1 a.m. Well, what a great time to start. Starting with Thunderbirds and showing Supercar, Fireball XL5, 90, and Captain Scarlet, and eventually ending for normal cartoons to resume at 4 a.m. I believe starting with Captain Planet, which I also used to watch.
Yeah, Captain Planet, I don't remember that.
He's a hero going to take pollution down to zero. Yeah. Children of the 90s right there. I've known of Thunderbirds while growing up. I'm now 42, and I knew the movie. Team America was a definite spoof of that kind of show, but I never really had the chance to watch these shows until it started airing late night on TV recently. I honestly am not quite sure whether I'm watching something for kids or if this is actually an adult show with puppets. Well, it took itself very seriously, as it feels a lot like other adult shows back in the 60s, like Star Trek and others that were made for all audiences, so rather than just kids. I happened to find this podcast when I was browsing YouTube to try and find some openings for the different shows, and I was watching to send to a couple of friends since they had no idea what I was talking about, and I subscribed to you there and the audio version of the podcast. Right?
Great.
Right, cool. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's very much the spirit of this podcast. No idea what we're talking about.
As ever, yes. I've since found many of the Gerry Anderson shows on the streaming service I use and plan to go through them all one by one.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I've listened to the first episode of the podcast as well and plan to get through it all eventually.
Yeah.
Great job
Pace yourself.
so far from Ben in Utah in the US. Thanks, Ben.
Yes.
See, this is lovely, isn't it? We keep finding people finding us and the world's of Anderson in different ways. They find the podcast first and they go on and find others. They watch a random show, they see a clip, the podcast gets recommended to them on YouTube.
They're awake at 1 a.m. with nothing else to watch and then they find something on TV.
Absolutely, it's lovely. So, Ben, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we hope you find many more hours of joy in Anderson shows and even the podcast.
And even the podcast, yes. Many hours of joy and then listen to the podcast.
Yes, that too, to counter it.
Great. All for now, but keep your emails coming in, podcast@gerryanderson.com. Don't forget to comment beneath our YouTube video as well. It drops premieres, in fact, every Sunday evening at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Do you find time in your diary to join us on a Sunday evening? Or do you catch up with us later in the week? Let us know. Podcast@gerryanderson.com. Do you remember last week Glenn Marks chose an episode of Lavender Castle for us to watch on the Randomiser?
Randomly he chose it. He didn't actually choose it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see if he randomly chooses another episode of something else on the Randomiser. He will do. That's not a spoiler at all, is it?
No.
But will it be anything like as good as last week's?
Let's see.
Let's find out.
It's randomizer time. This is going to test you. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Thanks, Glenn. Let's see what we get this time. Hang on. Oh!
Okay. Stingray.
Happy with that?
That's very appropriate given its anniversary year.
Yes.
Chris, tell us everything you know about Stingray in 5 seconds.
Stingray, 1964, 39 episodes, Troy Tempest, Phones Marino, whoosh.
Brilliant. brilliant.
all you need to know.
I'm in the mood now.
Specs
on.
Stand by for action.
Yes, sir, we are.
And we're
There
off.
we go.
Beautiful.
What is that red, though? That's
Yeah.
quite disturbing,
Lurid.
isn't it?
Well, I think it's only been red since the Blu-ray restoration came along. Previously, it was sort of brown, implying mud. So,
sure.
yeah,
Interesting.
It
So you
never
think
used to quite look that colour, but the fact that everything else now looks so superb and pristine and HD.
Yes.
I can forgive it.
Yeah.
It's quite disturbing otherwise, isn't it?
Yes, it's like they've nuked a whale or something.
Yes.
Some poor innocent creature.
Yeah. It's the perfect bath toy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I want one.
Des O'Connor would agree.
Do you do little rubber stingrays on the Gerry Anderson store?
Not yet.
Little rubber ducks?
Not yet.
We can give this corgi one a try here. See if that gets on the way. Yeah.
Do you think that the Stingray opening titles are the best of all of the Supermarination era in terms of building excitement? I've given it a specific
In terms
function
of building
there.
excitement,
I'd
yes.
say so.
I still think there's something special about the Joe 90 opening.
Oh,
But that's
Chris.
not an excitement thing. That is just this is cool
No,
and
it's
groovy.
a
and-
time for a snooze,
yeah.
folks. Thing.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now, we haven't mentioned what episode this is.
Go on then,
no.
what is it?
Let's see if anyone can guess what this is, because it opens very similar to the first episode, in fact.
Aha.
Some of this is reused footage.
Well, it's not the
Right.
first episode.
No, because that would be silly.
Yeah. It's a precursor to the Thunderbird 2 launch ramp.
Yeah.
But underwater.
This is A Nut for Marineville.
A
written
nut.
by Gerry and Sylvia Anderson. Yes.
Did they write any other Stingray episodes?
The first one,
Okay.
and this.
Right.
And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that might be all of it.
It's a strange title.
Wow.
It is a strange one. It's a strange little sub as well.
And I should also mention here that possibly by the time this goes out, people may have their copies of The Titanic and Stratagem.
They will.
These two are very heavily featured in it because that novel is somewhat of a continuation of this episode. So I've grown quite attached to these two people in their little
Have you?
underwater submarine destroyer here. Yes.
Okay.
It's a lovely little sub, actually. It feels very outside of the usual design.
And make sure you miss.
And I like the design of these two as well.
5 degrees from target area.
Good. Fire.
He looks a bit green around the gills.
Excellent. You missed.
Fish are totally unconcerned.
Now shut down motors.
Shutting down motors.
Did you say excellent you missed?
Yes. Yes, they were trying to miss.
Part of the
Yeah.
plan, then.
Yes, they were just trying to provoke them.
Now we are a sitting target.
Us and our spinning
must.
thing
It
in
must.
the middle of the room.
Yes, I like that.
Which will later end up on Zelda's base on Mars.
Oh, yes.
They're coming into attack. Good.
Does it?
No, not a similar spinny ring thing.
Yeah.
So having been attacked, even though it hasn't done us any harm, we've got to go back and blow them up, take care of the problem.
Standard.
Yeah.
They're coming straight for us, Grouper. This is crazy. I can't go through with it.
Yes, it's crazy. Crazy enough to succeed.
Crazy enough to succeed.
I love the Ray Barrett voice on that character as well.
Oh.
Yes, a little something falls off the bottom of the model there, but
Yeah.
basically the submarine is intact. Yay!
I think it sort of lost its underwater kind of feel then with that cloud of smoke. It suddenly just became a model being suspended over a
Virtually indestructible.
It's also
landscape.
quite alarming that there is smoke visible in the cabin now, and they're not particularly bothered by that. But yeah, they're happy that their submarine is apparently indestructible. So, what can we do? Let's blow up the human sub.
Wow. Oof.
Yes.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah.
Oof.
And another one.
Nice.
That looks familiar.
Yes.
Oh, we don't get silver blood this time.
No, shame.
Now it is set.
I like the way it's flown there. It's really lovely kind of path it was taking.
Yeah.
Utter destruction of Marineville.
Oh, very naughty people.
A nut, Marine.
A nut.
A nut. A whole nut.
Does that become clear why it's called
Yes. Yes, it is explained.
Marineville tracking.
I mean, it's very tenuous, but it is explained.
Marineville. You were right, Lieutenant. Tried contacting him on the radio. Yes, sir. Submarine craft in area of marine.
There's something I like about the submarines in this show and some of the spaceships in XL5 is they're more plane-like than...
Through the video phone, Lieutenant. Yes, sir. Lieutenant, I don't like the look of it at all.
Oh, we were just saying how good it was.
Yeah.
Picky.
Stand by. Yes, sir. This
Just gonna dry my hair.
will control. Battle stations will commence in...
Troy and phones live together.
This is Troy, Commander.
Doesn't shave yet. Box of cornflakes.
Report to the tower immediately. You'd better use the subway. We're going down in about 90 seconds.
I like the view out the window. Nice to see a bit more of it on the HD version.
And it's nice how chaotic this opening is. Everyone is like having breakfast, or I think Atlanta's about to say she was in the supermarket shopping. This has caught everyone by surprise.
Yeah. Such a great call to arms, this theme.
And by the end of the series, I think this was like episode 34, you haven't seen this whole sequence play out like this for quite a while.
Yeah, it's great to see it all. I can see why Dad would have wanted to put that in, though. Because
Yeah.
he loved all the kind of overly complex technical stuff,
Yeah.
especially when
Yes.
there's a kind of military angle to it.
And as a viewer, we love it as well, don't we?
Yeah, there's a whole romance to it.
Yeah.
This was unexpected, Father. I was in the Marineville supermarket when the emergency started.
Very interesting. Now get to your post, Lieutenant.
Brilliant. In the supermarket.
Range now 6,000 yards. Okay, Atlanta. Sound launch stations.
Yes, sir.
Cut to Troy. I haven't finished shaving yet. Come on.
Yes. Bits of foam all over his face.
No,
oh, no,
they're perfect.
He's ready.
They should at least have a little square of tissue. Just
Yeah. One of them still be in their dressing gown.
Missile unit standing by awaiting instructions.
All missiles to be placed at green.
PW, OR.
EW. OR, I forgot that last bit.
Yeah.
Oh, look at those.
And
Very
again,
threatening.
as I said, this is written by Gerry and Sylvia, and they, as far as I know, hadn't written an episode since the first one. So it's quite a giveaway that you come to an episode this late in the game and suddenly we're going through all this, the procedure that we've seen a million times before.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technical dialogue in this one.
Yeah.
Whereas other episodes just kind of get on with it.
Yeah, okay.
I've no idea why they waited so long before deciding to write another one.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a spare weekend and thought,
Yeah.
I know what we can do.
Or was necessity the mother of invention?
Yeah,
Was
could
there
have been a
a gap in the schedule?
Could
Someone dropped
be,
out, or an illness? Or,
yeah.
Stingray from tower.
Go ahead, tower.
Okay, Troy. Over to you. Destroy that craft.
PW, OR.
Oh,
Same again.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's strange, isn't it?
We're going to go blow something up. So our indestructible ship is now running away.
Even though it's indestructible.
Even though it's indestructible. And it has lots of missiles.
Show is zigzagging around. Position green 07.
Standby number 1 and 2 Sting missile.
Standing by with 1 and 2.
Fire.
Great sound, that.
Yeah, isn't it?
Two direct hits. Good shooting, Skipper.
Not that
Nearly a
good.
notch, no.
Phones. Look, it's not even damaged.
Uh-oh.
Well, let's head back.
We've tried hardly anything. Let's go.
1,000 little pieces.
Gentlemen, the position is clear.
Cigars, great.
I think they've all got cigars in this scene. Yeah, except for Marina. Everyone is like,
What the hell?
this
Yes.
is very serious.
Brilliant.
To develop a new nose cone that will enable our missiles to penetrate the hull before they explode.
Well, you've given us the complete picture, Commander.
Wow.
It dates it so much
Yes.
culturally, that, doesn't it?
But the fact that it's cigars,
Yeah.
it's really odd.
The men are thinking.
Yeah.
And normally, as I understand it, it's like a sort of triumph, a celebratory type thing. It's like, we've completely failed. Break out the cigars. We're going to celebrate this.
But it's derived from an era of the men, you know, smoking cigars and discussing politics after
Oh,
dinner,
yes.
and the women retiring to the drawing
Yeah,
room.
that's
isn't it?
right.
Professor Burgoyne, that's the story. My instructions were to pick you up and fly you back to Marineville. Time is the one thing we haven't got. Professor Burgoyne?
there he is.
Oh, no. He's asleep.
He's dead. I mean, asleep.
Giving him the entire situation, and he hasn't heard a word. He's known to be a bit eccentric. But it looks to me as if we've got a nut on our hands.
See?
A nut?
Yeah, because he's got his eyes closed, so he's a nut.
Nor am I a nut. My eyes were closed because I was concentrating. You said that we hadn't...
He broke the fourth wall a bit there as well. I'm not sure I like that. Looks like we got a nut.
Did you catch that at home?
...is relatively simple, though not entirely straightforward. We have to produce a nose cone for your Sting missiles,
Yes, as we've previously established. That's something this episode also does a lot of, is it establishes something and then cuts to another character saying, so we've got to do this thing that we just said we've got to do? Yes. We must do the thing that we just said we've got to do.
Okay.
It's very odd.
Yeah.
Most impressed with your efficiency, Captain Tempest.
Why, thank you, sir.
Most impressive.
You sit in that chair, very impressive.
Who invented the structural atomic regeneration computer Mark V.
All right.
And I haven't yet designed the Mark 6.
Troy's like, no, don't hurt me. Right, so having run away and gone back to their base,
They're going to come back again.
Now coming all the way back again.
Right, that makes sense.
It does.
Having given Marineville time to address the problem.
Yes, and bring in a specialist to help them deal with
Absolutely.
it. Yes.
Find out where Troy is, Atlanta.
Give him a cigar.
Arrival of the enemy craft. I want to know just how long we've got.
Oh.
Okay, it's coming back again.
Yep, we're in the exact same position as we were 7 or 8 minutes ago.
Yes. Okay. From the tone of your voice, I'm guessing you don't. This is the strongest episode of Stingray.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But the plotting is kind of all over the place in terms of comings and goings and timings.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason.
So the alien craft will be here in 24
Yeah, they just said we'll be here in 24 hours. They'll be here in 24 hours, so they'll be here in 24 hours. It's like, it's weirdly constructed. There's some nice character stuff in it, but why did the aliens just not press home their attack rather than clear off home? It's not like they ran out of missiles or anything.
No.
Now, as soon as you touch down, Troy, I want you up here in the tower.
We've only got 24 hours.
Professor Burgoyne with me.
Let's hope your Professor Burgoyne knows what he's doing. I only hope he's not one of those crazy eggheads.
I've had a lot of experience.
Brilliant.
I'm very tactful.
To the point.
Yes, sir. I know what you mean, but I've got a feeling you've started off on the wrong foot. Professor Burgoyne has been listening to the whole of this conversation.
No.
Whoops. I do really like the risk communicators in this and Thunderbirds.
Well, they're very much like what we've got now.
Yeah.
I'm wearing one of them 60 years later.
Yeah. And of course, easy for kids to replicate. Any kid with a watch.
Yeah. Just put a little flap on it.
Yeah.
Milk bottle top or something.
Yes.
Have you ever known me to be scared of anyone? Why, these professors may be clever people in their own sort of way, but they're not men of action. They're men of words.
But, Father...
You see, Atlanta, I'll have him eating out of the palm of my hand.
But, Father, he's here. He's here in the control room.
Here?
Uh-oh.
Oh, dear. Whoops. See, Atlanta's jacket is still
hanging
in the
chair.
background there, yeah.
Commander Shore, I am a man of action and not words.
Right.
Let's take this outside.
On the head of the list is a piece of equipment known as a SARC Mark 6.
You'll have one immediately.
I have already explained to your captain here the position relating to the SARC Mark 6.
This is a nice David Graham character, though.
Yeah.
Explaining it to you.
Yes, sir.
I will further require a laboratory to work in.
You will have the finest laboratory that any man...
And also rare to see a guest character blinking.
Ah.
Because he had his eyes shut earlier while he was not sleeping, but he's blinking in this scene.
I shall require a laboratory in an old building.
It's quite a nice sculpt, that, actually, the character.
Yeah.
And Fisher in the background there, so, oh, God. This could be going better.
Professor Burgoyne, I was simply going to...
You were saying, Father?
I was saying it, Matter. And I guess I'm more scared of Professor Burgoyne than that alien craft at present bearing down on Marineville.
We're all about to die, but it's funny.
Cancel battle stations for the time being.
Yes, sir.
Right, coming back it comes again.
No,
Still
that was
going.
interesting because we didn't see the professor leave.
No.
It was just inferred.
It was, yeah.
Footsteps and the sound of a closing door, yeah.
Because that's the easy way to do it. Not the easy way, but the way
An easy
around
way,
it.
yeah.
Switching to the automatic controls. If there are any problems, call me.
Oh,
you love
white
screen white.
transition there, yeah. It's unusual.
Well, Lieutenant Fisher, although we have a problem with Professor Burgoyne,
In that we keep being rude to him for no reason, and he's done absolutely nothing wrong. This is a problem.
I mean, he's a real 40 a day man, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can fix up.
40 cigars, that's quite something.
yeah.
Yeah.
God, that room must stink.
Yeah.
Far away from the tower as possible. Yes, sir.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Ah, his laboratory.
Before you leave me, Commander Shore,
Even with a wiggly thing.
Yeah, it's a wiggly thing and a flashing thing.
it would appear that this is the oldest building in the Marineville establishment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. We call it the Marineville Cooler, sort of jailhouse. But you see,
And from the brief look around that I've had, I would say that there's not another building within a mile. Also correct?
well, yes, sir. But didn't you ask that?
And I understand that you have given instructions that no one in Marineville is to approach this.
Now, that revolving thing on the left of frame there, I think that's a depth gauge from Stingray itself.
Okay.
Interesting reuse of a prop there.
Yeah.
Requested. Now, if you will excuse me.
Why, of course.
Level with drips on the wall in the background.
Yes.
The sawdust at the bottom. as well.
Yeah.
Was to make the modification, then 6 hours infusion. Yeah, I see.
Is he holding a cracker?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Since that guy started work, and there hasn't been one
Oh, cigar again.
We're expected to just wait around here with an enemy.
What's he got on his... Is that his box of cigars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Great.
And they're smoking as well. God.
We've only got 4.
And this 5 o'clock shadow's back again. How come Phones doesn't get one? Phones is just better kept.
Well, there's a little bit of
Yeah, not as
stubble.
pronounced.
Yeah.
Can't go near the cooler.
Now, at this point in the episode, every copy I've ever seen of it, there's a sound problem. The dialogue is kind of in and out a bit.
Don't say it,
And they didn't quite fix it for the Blu-ray.
Well, I was only going to ask you if there was any sign of activity. Well, the answer is no. Sorry, sir. I know how you feel, sir. You do? Yes, sir. Well, then why don't you shut up?
Why do I continue working for you if you hate me?
There's no respect in the workplace policy in Marineville, is there?
No. Well, some weeks he's fine, and then Gerry and Sylvia take over the writing, and he's very much back to the crusty commander,
Gruff.
no one can do anything right sort of thing. Wow. Anything happening?
I like the different angles looking at it from Marineville.
But this is also a building that's supposed to be a mile away from the rest of the base.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh. Huh?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
What?
Professor Burgoyne. I mean, that's a fun little twist, isn't it?
Yes. Oh.
Wow.
Gosh.
It's all over.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, that's torn it. The only thing that survived.
We can salvage the wiggling thing.
All is not lost.
Poor guy. At least he tried.
Oh, he's in his
Yeah.
in his pose that we've
Oh,
seen.
yes.
in
Yeah, we don't have
figure.
him on the
Cap in
desk
hand.
today,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
The experiment he was doing was so dangerous.
Now we know why he didn't want anyone near the cooler while he was working. Poor Professor Burgoyne.
cut to Marina and no reaction at all and no dialogue.
All the things I said about him. He may have been a nut, but he was a truly great man.
He was my nut. Oh, speaking of which.
Professor Burgoyne. I find what you say very touching and deeply moving.
What in thunder is going on?
Why aren't you dead?
Commander, I am very much alive. You see, I was taking cover. The explosion you heard
how it works.
was caused by the chain reaction necessary in producing the metal for the new nose cone.
Oh, it was worth doing them.
Yeah.
Pleased to say that
I destroyed your property on purpose.
I can't guarantee it will work.
That's why he was so keen that it was a mile away from the...
Mile away from the base, yeah.
Lieutenant Fisher, how long have we got?
About 55 minutes, sir.
Okay.
55
Left that
minutes.
to the last minute, didn't he?
So the ship has been making its way back now for just over 23 hours.
Right. Didn't even feel like it had time to get 24 hours away before it's come back again, but there we go.
Yeah.
And now launch Stingray. They've had time to put the things on now, right? Gosh.
No, he's still working on it now.
Right, okay.
Yes.
So they're going out knowing that they can't attack it or destroy it.
Yeah.
Good. Cool.
Marineville approaches Sector 1, reference 2400.
And in any other episode, it probably wouldn't show so much, but the fact that they keep mentioning, we've got this amount of time left, and it's this far away, and they keep drawing attention to it.
Trying to instill a sense of jeopardy, I guess, in the ticking clock.
But the timings just don't add up.
Carrying out fine on alignment, Captain.
He should be using an electric one or a pneumatic one, really, rather than doing it by hand.
You'd think.
Yeah. Well. Those crazy nuts.
Yeah. Are you criticising him?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Because now he's not dead, I'm only going to criticise him.
Stingray almost in range.
Don't they realize that we are indestructible?
I'm quite put out by that.
1,800 yards, Troy.
Professor, it's only a matter of seconds before...
But these two actually are the rare Stingray villains that return, because they were in the very next episode in production order as well. So they don't learn their lesson from this. They're back the next week.
Ooh. That looks threatening, doesn't it? Very pointy.
Very slow moving.
Do we know what SR stands for? On
Stingray?
Stingray 3002.
Yeah. It's the 3002nd missile.
1,400 yards.
Oh, it took a long time to make 400 yards, didn't it?
1,300 yards.
Oh, and then very quickly 100 yards, though.
Missile ready.
Bearing 24 green.
24 green.
Fire!
And the indestructible ship...
Range 1,200 yards. Trajectory bias 2 degrees left.
It's so relaxed.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Oh, no, they've been hit.
Hang on.
Oh, gosh.
So that's them out.
How the mighty have fallen.
Yes.
Well, that was easy.
Oh, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Just leave them out there.
Oh, no. We're going to throw them in our other jail.
Great.
Proved too good for your craft. It was not good enough to totally destroy it.
So we didn't quite kill you. We're going to finish the job somewhere else.
To put an end to your ambitions to destroy Marineville and the civilized
It was, wasn't it? This has defeated you? Please say it's defeated you.
a jail sentence. You will be free to return to your people.
To have another go next week.
Explain to them the type of people that...
I like the handcuffed to each other rather
Yes.
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
to
so
a
they could
security
still make a run
officer
for it.
or, yeah.
Reserve it. Okay, Troy. Take them away.
Yes, sir.
You're now head of security, apparently. Right.
He doesn't seem... Wow.
You know, Commander Shore, when I first arrived here, I thought you were a nut. But seeing you in action has changed.
What is all this?
I think they probably just started with the title and thought, how can we write a story to fit this?
Just arrived, Professor, but you sure saved the day.
Well, you know, Commander, it takes all types to save a world.
Oh.
Right.
They're going to shake hands?
Oh, bless them.
I think they're going to run him over then. You patronising git.
Nut.
Nut, of course. I blew the last line,
Yes.
sorry. Wow.
Okay.
That was enough for Marineville.
I mean, it was Stingray, so it looked great. There's always that.
Nice character stuff.
Yeah.
I think the construction of this one...
It is odd.
Yeah, it kind of shows that this was written by...
Careful.
People who weren't so familiar with how
where the stories are going.
Were normally written.
Yeah, that's right.
They're still very much in the sort of pilot mode where no one quite knows everyone else and everyone's a bit sort of frosty with each other.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think they could have maybe actually penned this early on as a second episode, and then it got dropped in because they needed an extra one? Because it's got that early feeling. Because it feels odd that because they would be quite heavily involved in.
Well, Thunderbirds would be sort of on the horizon at this point, very near the end of production.
Yeah.
It's such a strange thing for them to have done at this point.
So maybe it wasn't an earlier piece that got dropped in for some reason, but it's
an abandoned script that, as you said, got pulled in when something else fell through.
Yeah.
There's the beginnings of something really good there. I just think a couple more passes on the script to more fit what was being done with the other episodes at this point.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Yeah.
But it's quite flawed.
Quite flawed. There we are.
But still entertaining.
Flawed but fun.
Yes. Flawed but fun. There we go.
Marks out of 5.
Oh, it's tricky.
I'm going to go 3.
3.25.
I'm going to go with 3 as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked him on the both of you.
So that's 27.5
out of 7.
Multiply by pi and...
so not a classic.
9.25 out of 15. So it's not that highly rated, but it was fun.
I mean, if that were your first taste of Stingray, I think it would still be enough to pull you in to watch it again.
It's almost piloty from
Yeah.
that point of view, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Lots of explanation.
I'm not sure that the whole numbers and times thing really starts to hit you until sort of multiple viewings, and then you realise this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, all that stuff doesn't help at all.
So in my novel, I address some of this stuff.
Here we
So
go
if you want to know more about Noctis and Gripper, the aliens you've just seen, buy my novel. It's really
The
good.
Titanic and Stratagem. Available now.
Novel
All right. And
audio book and such.
after that word from our sponsors,
Yes.
Podsterons, what do you think about a nut from Marineville, an episode of Stingray? Comment below. Let us know your marks out of 5 and what you thought of it generally, and anything else you want to say about the podcast. Be nice. We'll see you next time.
Don't call us nuts.
For the first part of my interview with Natalie Rose from Space Precinct, another episode of the Randomiser, and more Podsterons and news. It's all go, isn't it?
The Gerry Anderson Nutcast.
Yes.
See you then. Bye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Yeah.
I know it's strange. My only thinking is that maybe it was a phrase that was around at the time.
Yeah.
Calling people a nut. You know, and they just sort of thought that would be a cool
funny,
thing
isn't
to
it?
do.
What would we call it now? What would we...
Git.
A wazzock for
A
Marineville.
wazzock. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Something like plonker.
Plonker for Marineville. There we go.
Yeah, no, that's the sort of late
If you have any
70s.
other suggestions.
But don't say that. I really don't want to hear your suggestions.
Keep it clean anyway if you do email.
Yeah. Whew, see you next week.
Bye.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.